I arrived home earlier than expected, eager to surprise Olivia. The past few weeks had been tense between us, distant conversations filled with half-hearted reassurances. Work had kept me occupied, but something about her tone lately unsettled me. She had grown colder, more dismissive. Still, I convinced myself it was nothing, just stress, just life. As I stepped inside, the dim glow of the bedroom light spilled into the hallway. My footsteps slowed. A sound, soft laughter, low whispers, filtered through the air, raising the hairs on my arms. I wasn't alone. Heart pounding, I walked toward the slightly ajar bedroom door. I could already feel it, the sickening weight of suspicion pressing against my chest. My fingers trembled as I pushed the door open. There she was. Olivia. My wife. Straddling another man. His hands roamed her bare skin, his lips devouring her neck, and she moaned, a sound I once believed was reserved for me. They didn't notice me at first. They were too lost in their pleasure, too consumed by the heat of their betrayal. My breath caught, my stomach twisted, but rage burned hotter than pain. Then Olivia's gaze lifted. Our eyes met. She froze. A gasp tore from her lips, and she scrambled off him, grabbing the sheets to cover herself. Panic flickered across her face, but only for a moment. Then, unbelievably, she smirked. You didn't leave. Her voice dripped with amusement, as if I were the one intruding. The man beside her, dark-haired, smug, stretched lazily, not even bothering to look guilty. He simply sat up, running a hand through his tousled hair. I clenched my fists. Who the hell is this? Olivia tilted her head, feigning innocence. Does it matter? My blood ran cold. Everything about this moment, this nightmare, shattered any illusion I had left. There was no apology in her eyes, no regret. She wanted me to see. She wanted me to know that I no longer mattered. You don't even care, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She sighed, running a hand through her hair. Ryan, let's not make this dramatic. You had to see this coming. I stared at her, at the woman I once loved, now unrecognizable. The man beside her chuckled, finally speaking. Yeah, buddy. Maybe it's time you move on. My fists tightened, but I forced myself to breathe. I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing me break. I turned to Olivia, voice steady. So, that's it? You just throw everything away? She rolled her eyes. Ryan, just leave. No divorce papers needed. Just go. The final nail in the coffin. I nodded slowly, taking one last look at the woman I thought I knew. And then, without another word, I walked away. But as I left, one thing became clear. This wasn't over. I drove aimlessly for hours, the city lights blurring past as my mind churned. Olivia's words echoed in my head, cold, dismissive, final. She had cast me aside like an inconvenience, like our marriage meant nothing. The sting of betrayal settled into something darker, something more potent. Anger. I had been faithful. I had built a life with her, trusted her, sacrificed for her. And she threw it away for some smug bastard who didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. The more I thought about it, the more something gnawed at me, something beyond the cheating itself. She wanted me to see it. That smirk. That taunt. It wasn't just an affair. It was a statement. Something wasn't right. I pulled over into an empty parking lot, gripping the steering wheel. This wasn't just about infidelity. Olivia had been distant for months, secretive. Expensive purchases she brushed off, late-night calls she dismissed too quickly. I had ignored the signs, convinced myself it was work stress, but now, I had to know the truth. Digging my phone from my pocket, I scrolled through my contacts until I found a name I hadn't needed in years. Ethan Graves. A childhood friend, now an FBI agent. We hadn't spoken in a long time, but if anyone could help me find out what Olivia was hiding, it was him. I hesitated for only a moment before pressing call. A few rings, then a gruff voice answered. Ryan. I exhaled. Ethan. I need a favor. An hour later, I sat across from Ethan in a dimly lit diner. He looked almost the same, broad shoulders, sharp gaze, the same no-nonsense demeanor. He studied me carefully before setting down his coffee. You don't call for years, and now you need a favor? I sighed. It's about Olivia. Something flickered in his expression. Not surprise. Something closer to knowing. I leaned in. She's been acting off for months. And tonight, I caught her cheating. The words felt bitter on my tongue. But it's more than that. She wanted me to see. She told me to leave. No divorce, nothing. Like she was done with me and didn't care what happened next. Ethan rubbed his chin. And you think there's more to it? I know there is, I said firmly. There were things, money being moved, late-night calls. I ignored it, but now? I need to know what she's really up to. Ethan exhaled and pulled out his phone. He tapped a few buttons, frowning as he scrolled. Then he stiffened. I frowned. What? He looked up, his expression dark. Ryan. Olivia's name is in an ongoing investigation. My stomach dropped. Investigation? For what? Ethan hesitated. Fraud. Money laundering. Maybe worse. The world tilted. I had expected something, but this? I shook my head. No. That doesn't make sense. Doesn't it? Ethan leaned forward. Think about it. If she's involved in something illegal, and she knows you're close enough to figure it out, she'd want to cut ties. Fast. If she divorces you the normal way, there are financial records, legal proceedings, things that could expose her. But if you walk away, no questions. No messy paper trail. I swallowed hard. She wasn't just cheating on me. She was erasing me. Ryan, Ethan said, voice serious, I need you to tell me everything. I told him everything, every late-night whisper, every odd bank transaction, every gut feeling I had ignored. By the time I finished, Ethan looked grim. This is bigger than I thought, he muttered. A lump formed in my throat. What do we do? He met my gaze. You don't do anything. I do. I frowned. What do you mean? Ethan's jaw tightened. You go back to her. Act like you're broken. Like you still love her. Make her comfortable, comfortable enough to slip up. My pulse quickened. You want me to spy on my own wife? He nodded. It's the only way to bring her down. I exhaled shakily, the weight of the situation pressing against my chest. Olivia thought she had won. She thought I would just disappear, like a fool. But she underestimated me. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about justice. And I was about to give her exactly what she deserved. I stood outside our house, staring at the front door as if it belonged to someone else. Olivia thought she had erased me, discarded me like yesterday's trash, but she had no idea what was coming. Ethan's plan was dangerous, but it was the only way. If Olivia was laundering money, defrauding people, or worse, I had to get proof. And that meant going back in, playing the role of the heartbroken husband desperate to make things work. I took a deep breath, steadied my nerves, and stepped inside. The house was eerily silent. A faint scent of perfume lingered in the air, a scent I once loved but now found nauseating. Olivia was in the living room, lounging on the couch in silk pajamas, scrolling through her phone like she hadn't shattered my world just hours ago. She barely glanced at me. You're back. I clenched my jaw, forcing myself to stay calm. I needed to talk. She sighed, setting her phone down. Ryan, we've been over this. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I took slow steps toward her, letting pain seep into my voice. I just don't understand. Was it ever real? Did I ever matter? For the first time, something flickered in her expression. Annoyance. Not regret, not guilt. Just irritation that I was still here, still asking questions. Ryan, we had our time. Things change. She stood, crossing her arms. You need to move on. I let my shoulders slump, pretending to be the devastated fool she expected. I don't know where to go from here. Her eyes softened slightly, but it wasn't affection, it was satisfaction. She thought she had broken me. Maybe this is for the best, she said. You'll be happier once you stop clinging to something that's already dead. I forced a nod, swallowing the rage rising in my throat. I guess I just need time. She smiled, a cold, condescending curve of her lips. That's the spirit. I sat on the couch, pretending to gather myself, while my mind raced. I needed access to her phone, her emails, something that tied her to whatever crime Ethan suspected. But Olivia was guarded. I had to be careful. "Can I get a drink?" I asked, standing up. "Something strong." She waved a hand dismissively. "Help yourself." "Perfect." I walked to the kitchen, opening the cabinet where we kept the liquor. As I reached for the bottle, my gaze shifted to the kitchen counter, where her laptop sat open. An email thread glowed on the screen. I inched closer, heart pounding. The subject line read, "Offshore transfers, final stage." My stomach clenched. "Got you." Glancing over my shoulder, I saw Olivia still in the living room, distracted by her phone. Slowly, carefully, I pulled my phone from my pocket and snapped a photo of the screen. Then, I saw a name in the email that made my blood run cold. Mitchell Grayson. I knew that name. Everyone did. A known criminal, suspected of running international money laundering operations. And Olivia, my wife, was doing business with him. I swallowed hard and took another picture. The proof was right in front of me. Just then, Olivia's voice called out, "What's taking so long?" I quickly shut the laptop and grabbed a bottle, masking my racing pulse. "Just deciding what to drink," I said, walking back in. She didn't even look up. "Vodka's best." I sat down beside her, forcing a smile. "Guess I'll take your advice." She had no idea that the moment I walked back into this house, I had already started planning her downfall. And by the time the FBI was done with her, she wouldn't be smirking anymore. I barely slept that night. Lying beside Olivia, listening to her steady breathing, I felt the weight of everything crashing down. The betrayal, the lies, the crimes. She wasn't just a cheater. She was a criminal. And she thought I was too weak to do anything about it. She had no idea what was coming. By morning, I had already sent the photos to Ethan. He didn't respond right away, but I knew he was working fast. If Olivia was tied to Mitchell Grayson, then this went deeper than a simple affair. It was a ticking time bomb. I just needed to play my part a little longer. At breakfast, Olivia was in a suspiciously good mood. She hummed softly as she scrolled through her phone, sipping coffee like a woman without a care in the world. "Sleep well?" she asked casually. I nodded, forcing a weak smile. "Better than I expected." She smirked. "See? You're already moving on." My grip tightened around my coffee mug, but I kept my expression neutral. If only she knew. Her phone buzzed, and she picked it up, reading a message with narrowed eyes. I tried not to look too interested, but I caught a glimpse of the sender's name. M.G. Mitchell Grayson. Whatever it said, it made her frown. Then, as if sensing my gaze, she quickly set the phone down and changed the subject. "You should go out today. Get some air. Maybe see a lawyer, start fresh." She was trying to push me out again, speed up my departure. I gave her an uncertain nod. "Maybe you're right." She smiled. "I usually am." That was the last conversation we'd ever have as husband and wife. Because the moment she left the house, everything fell into motion. Ethan called me an hour later. His voice was sharp, urgent. "We've got her." I sat up. "What do you mean?" "We traced her financial records this morning. Offshore accounts, wire transfers. She's been laundering millions through shell companies. And guess what? We found evidence that she was the one setting up transactions for Grayson." A mix of triumph and disbelief settled in my chest. "So, what happens now?" "She thinks she's untouchable," Ethan said. "But she just made a fatal mistake." I frowned. "What mistake?" "She didn't just cheat on you, Ryan. She used your name on one of the accounts. If we hadn't caught this now, you'd be taking the fall for her when this all blew up." My blood turned to ice. She wasn't just erasing me from her life. She was framing me. Rage surged through me, hotter than anything I'd ever felt. Ethan continued. "We're moving in. Agents are en route to bring her in." I stood slowly, a dark satisfaction settling over me. "When?" "Now." It was nearly noon when Olivia returned home. She waltzed in, looking pleased with herself, probably thinking she was finally rid of me. Then, she saw the black SUVs pulling up outside. Her entire body stiffened. "Ryan, what's going on?" I set my coffee down, standing calmly. "You tell me." She turned toward the window, eyes widening as men in dark suits stepped onto the lawn. Panic flickered across her face for the first time. The front door burst open. "Olivia Carter," a voice boomed. "FBI. You're under arrest." She gasped as Ethan and his team stormed in, weapons drawn. "What? No. No, this is a mistake." I watched as they grabbed her wrists, snapping cold steel handcuffs around them. "Ryan!" she shrieked, twisting toward me. "Do something." I stepped closer, lowering my voice so only she could hear. "You told me to leave, Olivia." Her eyes darted wildly. "This isn't happening." I smirked, mirroring the very expression she had worn the night she destroyed our marriage. "No divorce papers needed, right?" Her breath hitched. Then, just like that, they dragged her away. She kicked. She screamed. But there was no escaping this. By tomorrow, the whole world would know what she was. And as she was shoved into the back of the FBI vehicle, the last thing she saw was me, standing there, watching her fall apart, while I walked away free. She thought she had won. She never saw me coming.